day, Sunday afternoon, real good atmosphere. 0-0 draw. It had it written over it, I suppose, before the game started. But the game kind of had a bit of everything in it, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right when you think of it, from a neutral's point of view. I suppose if you look at it without any bias, you've got a side that are out of form, that have come off the back of of an iffy result at Millwall, and then a Villa side that don't really, away from home especially. I don't think their remit is to go at teams and attack. And I think their remit, which showed throughout the whole game, will sit back and try and hit you on the counter, like sort of thing. But so really, I think the draw was probably the favourite result, if you like, if you were to put money on it. But
either side could have nicked it though. I mean, we had that Chekundoy header
straight
to the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
That was so frustrating. It was untrue.
Yeah.
And then of course the hotter one just after the
Yeah. I mean the Ndoye header, he's got above Alan. As soon as you see him, going alongside Alan Hutton, you think, okay, he's going to win this header. And like you say, he's got enough power on it. If he gets it either side of the keeper, it's probably in. But but then obviously the hotter chance is the one. It would have been beautiful as well, because he nicked it off Terry as well, who was on his heels. And then he goes through, and just that last touch, he takes that one touch right at the end, and you think if he'd have just hit it there, he's got more of a chance. But he's taken that touch, and it's taken a little bobble. But I thought first half especially he was excellent. Hotter, I thought his ingenuity, his little creative, the couple of passes which Davis made the run forward, and Hotter's found him with lovely passes. And it's that sort of thing that, especially your midfielders as well, they are going to make more forward runs, because if they think that Hotter's playing, then they're going to think that he's going to find them. Whereas if it's other players that are playing, they're not going to make those runs forward because they're not going to be found.
Dark side of the day, of course, was losing Vassell in the second half.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
We know the extent of the scans and that.
You could see it was a muscle injury. And then so he goes down, he comes back on, and then obviously there was no way, and he went back up, and he eventually went off. So it's a little bit of a concern. That I'm hoping it's not very long, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was a month and a bit.
But we've got the international break coming up in a couple of
That's
weeks.
true. Yeah.
End of this week, is it?
No, 11th. Yeah.
11th,
Yeah. So yeah.
All right.
A couple of weeks.
All in all, good day out. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean,
I love
listen,
the
it's Blues Villa, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get apprehensive on the day, and obviously I think we had to start work at 8 o'clock. So you get there at I'm there at 8:15, walking around the ground thinking, oh, just get me to 2 o'clock, and we haven't been battered. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, you are.
So you're there 6 hours before.
No, 4. 12 o'clock kick off.
Of course, it was 12, not 2.
Yeah. So but you do get that. Well, I do. You're looking forward to it, but you're slightly apprehensive. But then once all the fans started coming in and the music starts playing, then you're looking forward to it. Then the excitement gets there, doesn't it? So.
Yeah. Some sad news tonight. Ian Danter was supposed to be with us tonight, but bless him, he's got to go down to London to work, so he couldn't make it. He's really, really sorry, but he's going to phone in at 8 o'clock.
He has promised to phone him, which is nice of him.
Yes.
So he's going to phone
nice
him.
man,
Yeah.
friendly.
He is gutted, so.
And I'm sure we'll get him in.
We need him to do one of his impressions, apparently.
Okay.
He does a good Trevor.
Does he?
Does a
Yes,
good
he does.
Trevor.
Oh, there you go.
I've heard that
Stand
one,
by.
yeah.
Stand by, Ian.
Yeah. So all in all, I say I love the pre-match entertainment.
Yeah.
That big balloon and the burners.
Yeah, obviously that
was it Sky that did that?
I think the burners were Sky.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd have done that, but it did it. The pictures in the background, it makes for a really good picture. With the Tilton and Cop in the background, it's
full.
Full exactly. It's what you want to see St Andrews looking like.
What do you think it's going to look like on Wednesday?
They did that offer where if you bought your Brentford ticket, you got to buy your Villa ticket. Yeah, they did that offer a few weeks ago, so I'm hoping that quite a few will have taken that up, so the Brentford game will, But every time we say, what do you think the attendance will be for the midweek games? We've always underestimated how many have turned up. I think this season, at home and away, the crowds have been much better than I've been expecting based on what we've got. Based on what we've been given so far this season, I think the crowds have been excellent. Yeah,
makes you wonder what sort of crowds we'd get if we were,
Well, exactly. You're pushing top six, and that place is virtually sold out every week. I think.
Got a bit of a thump on something somewhere, have you?
Pardon?
A bit of a thump every time, Chris.
Echo.
A bit of echo going on. Yeah. No. Are you all right? There we go.
Oh, yeah, I heard it. Yeah, is that you? Is it you?
No,
It's me, I think.
Oh, is it you? Stop thumping, will you?
Right, I think the bigger debating point of the day was the
I've become famous.
was the pink and blue clappers.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, whose marketing decision was that for a start? What a ridiculous thing to do.
Listen. I obviously I wasn't here last week, but we had I listened to the show, and there was the build after the Millwall game, the build up to the Villa game. You're thinking, this is Blues Villa now. This is serious. And then a couple of days later, there's we're gonna get clapper boards out. Now, I've made my opinion on clapper boards pretty clear in the past. I did test the things. I saw the highlights of the Leicester game yesterday, being politely used by all Leicester fans. What a gloriously terrible atmosphere that is, where they're just happy clapping away. That's not a football atmosphere, and it certainly isn't a Blues Villa football atmosphere. But for them to be claret and blue, what on earth? Who looked at that and went, "Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
We'll put one of them on every single seat in the Tilton and Cop. We'll put one of them on the front row of the whole Cop. That's a wise idea, isn't it? We'll put a claret and blue piece of cardboard on the front row of
how
the
did
Cop.
they not notice it? That's the thing.
Exactly. What did they think was going to happen? I know people have said, I don't know why people throw things on the pitch, or why people think it's okay to throw things at other people, whether they be Villa players or not. But at the end of the day, people are going to,
Second I saw them,
you have to accept that
I know
there's
where
some
10,000 of them are going to end up.
Exactly. You have to accept that some people are that way inclined.
But then once
and
somebody
if they've
started,
had a drink,
they're all starting it.
exactly. The first one went, and it was when Whelan went down on the touchline, and and he's there bleeding, and there's tons of them being thrown at him.
I must say, right afterwards, every time, because I was in row 2, right by the halfway line.
Yeah.
On the Cop.
Yeah.
And every time there was a throw in anywhere near me, I'd just shout, "Incoming!"
Yeah, I know.
It was just like hundreds and hundreds of them flying over the top of our heads.
But whether you agree with it or not, I expected it. I was talking to a couple of the stewards, and I said, "What are they doing? What are they doing in the front 6 rows of?" Honestly, nobody saw that. Nobody high up at Blues who agreed to put them out saw that coming.
No.
Well, as Wazza says, the only game in the season you don't need to create an atmosphere.
Exactly. Exactly. Listen, if you want to do clapperboards, right? If you want to try it for a game, do it on Wednesday night. Brentford at home on a Wednesday night. Try it there.
Yeah, but
try it when there's a kids for a quid game. So you try and get more kids to do it. What are you doing putting it Blues Villa? What are you doing making them claret and blue? Are you completely insane?
Come on, it was a stupid idea, and it was the stupid people that threw them, basically.
Yeah, but it was a stupid idea, and it was met with the contempt that the idea deserves.
Smiling.
I could not believe it. I took a picture and put it on Twitter and Facebook and the Facebook group. My Twitter account went crazy at Villa fans laughing at us, which was expected. So that's had about 200 retweets and likes. Paddy Power stole it. Paddy Power stole my photo in a tweet saying faux pas from Blues. A, with clapperboards, B, making them claret and blue against Villa.
She's copyrighted there.
It's an astonishing decision.
Okay. interviews on Radio West Midlands, who, by the way, aren't doing a football show tonight, even one day after the derby.
No,
Because season 4 of Peaky Blinders is starting. And
so they're on the premier.
right,
they're on
okay.
they're on the red carpet.
on the
So
red
they were a
carpet
bit-
there.
oh, I
So there was
see,
no
yeah.
football show there tonight. So this is the only one in the Midlands, the only one in the world at the moment.
It's the only one that
talking
counts,
about Birmingham
really.
City.
Yeah, it's the only one that counts.
A certain individual came on Radio West Midlands after the game and said that they were a serious risk to health and safety.
Yeah.
That same man who used to cheer every time we scored, Mr. Steve Bruce.
Yeah.
What do you think of his comments there?
Um,
Or do you think it was just, once one had gone on, it was just a bit of comedy genius from Birmingham fans who were like that anyway?
but do you know what? Exactly. What was anybody expecting them to do? What was anybody expecting? 20-odd thousand half-tanked Blues fans going to do with claret and blue clapperboards in a Blues Villa game? It's just the decision on a whole is completely insane. Now, if you're saying, I mean, if it gets caught, if you throw one and it catches you in the eye, then it could be a problem. But if it hits you on the head, it ain't going to hurt, is it?
No.
You use it to clap against your hand really hard.
Pete
so,
Wareham says, are they burning clappers in the background?
yeah, I know. Yeah, they should have. So they should have just chucked them on there. Yeah.
But there were none, obviously, in the away end.
No, not in the away
And I'm
end.
sure, 100% sure, that had they put them in the away end, every time a Birmingham City player went near them, they'd have been thrown them.
100%, yeah. If we'd have got a
100%
corner over that end, they'd have been thrown at them, yeah.
Sure. Do you think it stopped the momentum of the game a little bit sometimes, or did it just add to that?
No,
that
I don't
comedy
think
value
I
of the
don't think
day?
it stopped the momentum. I think the only thing that you think is where there was a couple of times where they had a set piece. Villa had a set piece over by the Tilton, and they're taking time.
Sorry.
You're
Can
laughing
I
at
just
Ronald
read
McDonald.
this? Stuart McDonald. The reason they threw him on the pitch was there was no instructors on how to use them. Brilliant.
Well done.
That's obviously what they thought they
stunning.
were for, yeah.
Oh, dear.
But when they had a set piece, when corners and free kicks, and they're taking time to get them off the pitch and things like that, you could lose your concentration defensively. Obviously, thankfully that didn't happen, but I don't think it disrupted the flow of the game or anything. No.
No. Paul Gill brought mine home to give it to my 4-year-old daughter. She promptly threw it at a Villa-loving uncle who'd come to say hello. So I think each clapper has a story. Where's yours, Mr.
Yeah.
My clapper's in the back of the car now, in the back window.
In the back window.
Yeah. Turn the right way round,
Yeah, I was going to say.
Not the pink way. Oh, God.
Let's have a look. It wasn't throwing. It was a throwing of bottles and other items, which was out of order. Yeah, I did see a few.
I mean,
plastic
the bottles shouldn't have been given out because every bar was told that all the bottles had to go in glasses. So somebody give the bottle out when they shouldn't have done.
Either that or somebody bought one in and didn't.
Or yeah,
didn't get searched
so
correctly on entry.
somebody's at fault.
Because the
Yeah.
searching on entry was pat my pockets, pat my shoulders, and go straight through.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
That was it.
Linda Hopkinson said it was supposed to promote origami.
All right. And do you think the clappers were put there purposely because the club knew that they would be thrown in an attempt to intimidate the Villa players?
No.
Like Brett Stanley. I don't think the club.
Definitely not. I think it's I think it's somebody's. Whoever the company is that was on the claret and blue side of the clapperboard, I don't know who they are, Utilita or whoever they
Didn't
were.
even look at it.
Whoever that company is has obviously offered Blues some money, and they've gone, yeah, go on, without even thinking about what it actually means to us.
Steve Farrell says, "Can we find out whose idea it was with the clappers?"
I
don't
hope
think
so.
we'll ever know, Steve. To be
No,
honest with
no, I don't think anybody will
I
admit
think he's
to
left
it.
the country.
you. Carl Thomas says, "Death by paper cut." And Penelope Wood says, "Half tanked, lol."
Well,
More than half tanked.
they certainly were when up in the Block 38. Yeah.
Paul Lipkiss said it was like putting Ronald McDonald in KFC. And next game, clappers with razor blades in the folds. Hashtag.
Yeah, yeah.
Paul Gill. Oh, dear, I do
Kevin
love
Kelly
his
says,
sense of
Chris
humour.
Pugh, do you remember when Figo moved to Barcelona from Real Madrid and they threw a pig's head at him?
Yeah, a pig's egg thrown at him when he took a corner. Yeah. It's you offer the chance for people to be controversial, and they'll take it.
They'll take it.
And Blues fans were given the perfect opportunity to have a go at the Villa players. And
Apparently
they took it.
they're on eBay now, so you should have held on to yours.
There was a whole box down by the
Really?
by the office.
They're going
I
for
should have
10
taken
pence
it.
each now on eBay.
I've got to say welcome to my friend Steve Charlie Chesters. I will see you, Mister, in our usual place on Remembrance Sunday in a week or so's time. Right, okay. What do we make of the chip shop on Stockfield Road, Yardley? Man's got to eat. Jez back. Well, we don't know. We haven't got a clue. I don't eat chips.
No, I
If
do.
they
What
were
that's
for any
about.
free samples.
Anthony Lloyd, Greg Chris is back. Good performance. Could have got out of the
Somebody's
three,
glad
but-
I'm back.
Yeah, your fan club. Watching your fan club, mate.
He said thanks for the fiver.
Yeah, no.
Right, Vassell will be a big loss and Hotter looking promising. Good game Sunday. Yeah, it was a great game Sunday, but now's the time for Gallagher
good.
to stand up.
Not great.
I think it was
Good.
No, I think it was the atmosphere and everything.
Yeah,
When it makes it a great
yeah. I struggle to think back now. Even the games that mean so much, like the 3-0, when we beat them 3-0 at home, the Encombe 1 and things like that, and the 2-1 cup win. When I think back to them, they're never really high quality games. You know, where both teams play very good football. Normally, it's mistakes that cost them, or you know, a bit of luck and ingenuity here and there. But but like you say, I think you do get carried away with it. And I mean, the 90 minutes flew by. The first half absolutely flew. I thought. I couldn't believe where the time went, but.
Right, okay. Going back to the security show, Andrew Kay, because I'm trying to catch up on a few of these. I got in with a bottle of aftershave. I even showed the guys on the gate. That's crazy. That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
And that's K. Is that K2? Is it?
I don't know.
I think it was Old Spice. I think it was Old Spice.
Old Spice.
Good.
Thanks.
Yeah, but listen. I mean,
Tumbleweed.
there are issues, surrounding.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to get in, especially a derby.
We've had that issue at Manchester already.
Yeah.
On in the year.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there are obviously intelligence thoughts that football grounds are going to be hit somewhere. Prime target Sunday. Like I say, my pat down was literally on that.
Yeah.
And that was it. Way straight through. It was
Yeah.
nothing.
Well, I think somebody put about on the Facebook page about the roads being closed before and after kick-off, and you
Well,
wonder whether that's anything to
it
do
is.
with
It is.
intelligence that they've had.
It is.
So you know they feel strongly enough to close a road an hour or before and after kick-off, but the security within getting into the ground is still pretty poor.
It was
yeah.
very poor.
Yeah.
Not pretty poor, very poor. I think it needs taking up, to be honest with you, because last few games, K2 security were everywhere in the ground. On Sunday, they were nowhere to be seen. I wonder why. I don't know. There's quite a lot of K2 people there.
Yeah, there was
Certainly
a fair
lining
few.
the front of the...
Before everybody started coming in, there was tons of
Right.
police and stewards all around the ground being told what they were supposed to be doing. So
Mike Hansen says Lee Clark has left Bury, apparently. But I don't know whether true that is because I've not seen that one.
I don't think they've had a good start to the
Hotter looked
season.
useful. He did.
He did.
He's like
First half especially.
a rich man's Fabrini, isn't he?
You know, but he just has that. He has that. It's when you've watched Blues for the last 12, 18 months, and there really isn't many people who are good on the ball. It's you know it's a bit of it's a joy to see somebody comfortable in possession and confident in his own ability to get other people into the game. And like I said, a couple of the times Davies has gone past him and he's played lovely balls into him that Davies probably could and should have done a little bit better with. But he does seem to have that little bit of flair. And well, you know, I think we've kept 3 clean sheets in a row at home now. So we've had 2 1-0 wins and a 0-0 draw. So you know, with things. Hopefully, going forward, things tightening up. If we can tighten up away from home as well, that would be much appreciated.
Everyone's man of the match for Sunday.
Well, Alan Osborne says, don't you think the tide has turned now? Bring on the wins.
I hope so. Like I say, at home we've had 2 wins. We've picked up 7 points out of 9.
At home, we've
from
played like
from
Trojans, though.
from 2 teams that are in the top 6 as well, Cardiff and Villa. So
Back to man of the match, it's Stephen Cowell.
man of the match.
Yeah. He's going for Keith and Belden. I would as well.
I would have gone Keith.
Yeah, yeah.
Close.
definitely.
Roberts was very
Roberts,
good as
played
well.
yeah.
I actually thought Grounds was pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Up against Snodgrass and Adoma,
Yeah,
they interchanged a couple of times. Yeah, I would have gone Roberts, but I certainly wouldn't object to Keith and Bell getting it. Yeah.
And Jeff Ndoye, of course. Somebody wants a minute to reflect on the immense Ndoye performance. Don't you think?
I just do not see it. I'm really sorry. All I see,
He bossed it.
all I see is a guy running around like a headless chicken, chasing after people, just causing a bit of a menace.
He was winning balls.
There is no
Isn't that
technical
part of the
ability
game,
whatsoever.
though? Isn't that part of the game?
No.
though? To be
that's-
annoying.
No, but you've got to have something else. You've got to have something else in your game because well, maybe not us, but a relatively fit 20-year-old Blues fan could run around and be annoying and get in people's faces. Do you know what I mean? But you've got to have something else. And a couple of times Adams tried to link up with him with the 1 and 2, and his touch isn't good enough. He give the ball away too much.
Man of the match, Andrew Cave, Ndoye. Man of the match, Carl Thomas, Ndoye. My man of the match, he was everywhere and had to bring on Jedinek to nullify him, and they absolutely did.
But they brought on Jedinak because everybody was getting too much room.
Paul Hipkiss, Ndoye is not a number 10, no creativity in his game. So we're discussing Ndoye at the minute then. Keith McCarthy asked Whelan if Ndoye had a good game. I thought he did, actually. Ndoye is Patrick Vieira, Yaya Toure, prototype midfielder from Luke
I
Griffiths.
wouldn't go that far.
What?
I was waiting for that reaction. Carl Thomas thinks you've been hit on the head with a clapper.
I just don't get it. He's just a nuisance. But we need, there needs to be something more. He needs to have something else to his game. His touch isn't good enough. His ability on the ball isn't good enough.
Bick says, did you miss the number of times Ndoye played in Hotter?
Must have done, yeah. I haven't seen him play a forward pass that's cut a team through.
Pat Begley has quality and will prove it over the season. Ndoye did well against Whelan, but when Jedinak came on, was nowhere from John Byrne.
Well, everybody gave Whelan man of the match.
No, that was just Sky.
So how is Ndoye doing well against Whelan?
It was Sky TV. The man of the match was never going to go to a Birmingham City player, was it? On Sky TV, never. Huh?
Well, he did against Cardiff.
That was an incredible.
Yeah, because we were absolutely incredible against Cardiff, though, weren't we? What happened to the forgotten man Gardner? Well, he's on the bench.
Yeah.
Pete Taylor and Ndoye Mo. I don't know if that should be a no. Luke Griffiths is just laughing his eyes out. Paul says, "Is this a serious stream?" And
I don't think it is.
Ndoye annoyed via midfield, and if not for Jedinek neutralising him, was bound to run the game. Ndoye man of the match.
Ndoye
just for
couldn't
Whelan's
run any
face.
game. Ndoye couldn't run any game. You have to have technical abilities to do that. Listen, I hope. I'd love to be proved wrong because if I'm proved wrong, that means he's doing well for Blues. But all I see is a guy who runs around a lot.
Well, I'm taking everybody else's thoughts into consideration here. Adam Humphries and Ndoye quality. Hotter enjoyed his performance. Reminds me of Dominguez from Gary Smith. You can't knock Ndoye for his performance on Sunday. I wanted him on the bench to start, but he did do well from Ben McLaren.
But all I ever saw from him was he's chasing down and closing down Villa. Now that's good. Don't get me wrong. The fact that he's putting himself about is good. I'm happy to see that. But I also want to see another side to him. If he's going to play behind the striker, if he's going to be the one who plays behind the striker, he needs something more than I'm going to run around a bit.
I saw 2 or 3 players marking Ndoye. Andrew Cave. Blues need to be up for games every week, not just Derby Day. We were good in spells with no end product from Ben Egan.
Hotter was trying to create the end product.
Yeah, Carl Clough says he put Hotter through 3 or 4 times. Mr. Fun started to be Mr. Mona.
Someone else
and
is
Ken
asking,
Plaster
is it
says he
raining?
couldn't run a raffle. And Ndoye should be there to break up play and not a playmaker from Keith McCarthy.
Yeah,
And,
well, that's certainly true. Yeah.
Dan Jones, my man of the match was Keith Debard. I think mine was too. Gardner should have had 20 minutes just to wind everybody up. It's not about winding up, though, is it?
You got to you got to secure the point.
Yeah,
and at
absolutely.
the end, I mean, you joke about it. At the end, they were when Yedinak came on. When Yedinak came on, we were on top, and I thought, we were really going at it. Then I thought that the momentum was with us. He come on and.
How come one man change a game though? It's weird,
But he's,
isn't it?
He's a good player, and he broke up our play. He stopped whatever we were trying to do. He seemed to be the one who was always there stopping it. But he's got the ability on the ball as well, and he got them moving. And the last 20 minutes, they were on top, weren't they?
Yeah, very much so, very much so. Will Undoy ever score a goal? I don't know. It has to be perfectly honest with you. Robert Doyley, frustrated players in his presence frightened the life out of the opposition. And Steve Smith says, Mr.
So
Fun
put Baz Peterson in the number 10 role, because he'll Patterson, sorry, yeah, he'll terrify defenders and he'll be a presence.
Yeah.
And he's probably got more technical ability than Undoy.
Steve Smith says, Mr. Fun, was it raining on holiday?
No, it wasn't. No, never rains on
Robert Doyle's happy that Big Trevor's in the background there. We did promise that. Couldn't do it last week because we had. How did we have on last week? I can't remember.
Granger!
Oh, I can't remember. Oh,
Granger?
Yeah, we might, yeah, of course.
Could you forget that?
And Doyle reminds me of Moamba. Loads of effort, no product. Sorry, I haven't got my glasses on. They are in my pocket. I should really put them on, to be honest. Yeah.
Our team couldn't score in Gabby's mum's house.
And Mr. Fun back to his usual cheerful self.
Well, you wouldn't have it any other way, would you?
Adam Kimman says play three up front, Vassell up front with Adams and Hotter behind them. Well, Vassell's out for the foreseeable.
Yeah.
So that...
But I actually thought Gallagher did okay when he came on.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
If it's him or Jutkovic, I think there's a little bit more pace than Gallagher. And he's got his movements a little bit better. Obviously, really, if you're going to play Gallagher or Jutkovic, you want to try and get balls in the box because they're good in the air as well. But so to bring Gallagher on in Vassell, obviously that took away the blistering pace. But I thought Gallagher did okay when he come on.
Dean Williams, one that we've forgotten. Dean, well done. Cusack played well.
I mean, it's frustrating because his distribution's not great. And he worries me slightly when he comes for crosses, but then he pulls off what is a worldie of a save from the Codger header. He's an absolutely brilliant save. Yeah. So he stole us a point really, because as soon as that left his head, I thought that was in all the way. And it was so that was an excellent save. Yeah.
And Andy Bede, you're very right. Vassell going off was a massive blow. They were scared of him every time he got the ball.
Yeah.
And he won a fair few headers versus Terry, Undoy and Keith Dembald were immense.
It was all good until that last comment. No, but he's right. And I think the game plan as well, because there is that the Villa have to be wary, don't they? When Vassell's on the pitch, they have to be wary of that ball over the top, and they're going to get chased down. So as soon as Vassell goes off, Terry and Terry in particular says, "Oh well," and it was evident because he stepped up a bit then. The back line stepped up a little bit, just a touch. But they could because they knew that Vassell wasn't running in behind them.
Calamedes, do you know how long Vassell is out for? No, unfortunately.
No.
We're waiting for the same news as you are, my friend. So
I have got a full interview coming up shortly with Cots, and he does mention that. So.
And Hotter needs to be allowed to free roam. I agree with that from Sam. Sam, who was standing in for you. Thank you, Sam.
He was. Admirably,
sitting in for you, admirably, when you were on international
Very
duty.
good job. Yes, Hotter.
Yeah, that miss.
I think. Well, I think the free roll thing. You want to make sure that as a unit we're sturdy enough, and obviously Ndoye's playing in the number 10 role at the moment. If Hotter plays in the number 10 role, then there's a hell of a lot more creativity going through the middle. But are we sturdy enough? Is he going to be getting back enough to help out defensively and things like that? These are the things you need to.
Good evening, Alison Shilton, and also Dean Lomas, who has just recently joined us. And Anthony Lloyd says, going to have nightmares about the Hotter chance. It was a mare, wasn't it?
It's as soon as you go through it, so I'm watching it, and as he nicks it away, you see it's Hotter, and you think there's not one person I'd rather have running down. You know, I want the composed player. I want the player with the best technical ability here, running down one-on-one against a good keeper. And it's just that last touch.
And of course, he had his chance to write himself into the history books.
Well, what a way! He's come in on his debut. He's looked okay at Leeds, and then he gets injured. So it's taken him a time to get back. He's played bits and parts, and he starts against Villa. He had an excellent first half. If that goes in, like you say, he's an instant hero.
Would have had Hotter on the wall instead of Theo.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
The Hotter shirts go through the roof, don't they, in the club shop and things like that.
Adam Radigan, Hotter was a one-trick pony. Got the ball and cut inside every chance he got. Teams know what he's going to do, and when he went on the outside, he was pushed off the ball and tackled, so he needs to do more.
But when he come in, he created things. So it's all right saying he's a one-trick pony and people know what he's going to do, but it's knowing what he's going to do and stopping it is a different matter altogether. It was obvious. He's a left-footed player playing out on the right. He's going to try and cut in, but even though we knew that, it was obvious that he was going to try and do that. He's left-footed, but he still got shots away and got people in.
And James Heaton Roberts was class again. Yes, totally agree.
Roberts was excellent. Roberts has been excellent the Cardiff game as well. He was excellent. He was the better of the centre halves against Millwall. Not that was much difficult with Morrison being awful at Millwall. But
Andy Cave says, a quote from the Birmingham Mail: standing at 6'3" tall, few players in the Championship can compete physically with Ndoye. In fact, Villa was so scared of his ever-growing influence.
Yeah, but so put a bodybuilder in the number 10 role. I don't want somebody who scares the defenders.
Yvonne Felton, and Ndoye will get better once he gets to grips with the English language.
But he's 31. Has he got time to be better? Has he got time to improve?
No.
You know, I don't want him in 3 years' time. Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm yet to be convinced. Obviously, as people I'm sure will have gathered by now, but.
Okay, Dennis has said, can the first question to Dance be, what does he think of Ndoye's performance?
Yeah?
Absolutely, it can be. The clock seems to have stopped in here. I don't know why.
What time does he say?
It's 4 minutes past 8, and this one says 8:45 in here.
Right, okay, I'm going to go down.
So I've been watching that one thinking it was 8:45. 15 minutes thinking, we've got plenty of time. All right, we'll see if we can get Dance on the phone any second now. Hotter took a bobble on a clapper and skied it.
That would have been
Kelly there.
That would have been so typical, wouldn't it? If it had been through on goal,
and
it would have hit a clapper, so he missed it. But...
hit the clapper and then bounced over
the
top of the...
That's it. Yeah,
on an open goal.
Yeah, that would have been typical.
How would we be feeling now? And of course, there was very nearly an Encoma moment in the first half as well, wasn't there?
Well, with Vassell closing down Johnson. Do you know what? It's happened to so many of them. We always go back to Encoma, but Sorensen made a couple of mistakes as well when he was there. And Friedel shouldn't have let Zigic's shot in the cup quarter final, should he? No. So it's happened to a couple of them, and that was very, very close to being another. Yeah.
Yeah. My heart was in my mouth when he was taking it back for it.
Yeah, I think Johnston's heart was in his mouth as well. It
was funny though. Yeah, Roberts was on fire from Rob Doyle. Penelope Wood, where have you all gone? I don't know. Where have we gone? We're still here.
I think we're still here.
I think you need to refresh your system because everybody else seems to think that we're still here. Mr. Fun, I beg your pardon. I don't know what that was for. Never mind. Any road. Right, okay. Lack of composure in a big game from Hotter, but it happens. I'd put him on his natural side. He wouldn't cut in as much if he could. He'd be lethal if given the ball.
I mean, the one thing that you would say is if he's out on the left and you've got someone like Gallagher or Jutkovic in the box, then there's the option that if he's out on the left, he puts more crosses in. Yeah, and if you've got big strikers up, then that might be more beneficial to us in the long run. But
okay, just as promised then, our good friend and friend of the show, Ian Danter is on the line. Ian Danter, good evening.
Hello, boys. How are you?
I'm absolutely fine. So is Mr. Fun. He's back off his holidays.
Oh, that's nice. Getting holidays in the season, that shouldn't be allowed.
The what,
No.
sorry?
Getting holidays during the season, that shouldn't be allowed. Holidays should be taken between the end of May and the start of August.
I had
and
to
at no
make
other
sure.
time.
I had to make sure that it was Saturday to Saturday though, because there was no way I was
Good
coming
work.
back
Yeah,
on
well,
the
good work,
Sunday.
good
So.
work.
Right, a plethora of questions for you tonight, Ian. How are you first and foremost?
I'm all right. I'm hanging in there.
Good man.
My voice has been struggling lately, but I'm off to that there Dirty Leeds tomorrow to watch them play Derby in the in one of the midweek fixtures, and then I'm actually, for my sins, going to watch Preston against Villa for Talk Sport 2 on Wednesday as well.
No.
So I'm up north for the next couple of nights.
I shall listen out for that commentary then.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed,
absolutely.
both nights, yeah.
Absolutely. Good to have you back on. Pity you couldn't come in person, but we understand the technical difficulties and the logistics with that, but don't worry about it.
Yeah. It's not always easy, but thank you for the invite.
Yeah, no problem. You're always welcome. You know that, matey. You know that.
Bless you.
The first question is, what did you think of Chekandoy's performance over the weekend?
Well, he's the reason Jedinak came on, isn't he?
Yeah.
Whether it was a technically gifted performance is kind of irrelevant, isn't it? It was a performance that had Steve Bruce that concerned that he changed things around to combat it. And to be fair to Steve Bruce, having made that change, it did render Ndoye much less effective once Jedinak came on. But up until that point, for the first half, he was as combative as you would want somebody of that physicality to be. You've got to bear in mind, lads, this is the first time I've seen Birmingham live this season, being there at St Andrews yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, all I've seen of Birmingham, because of my work elsewhere up to this point, has been restricted to watching it on the telly. And you know what it's like. You never get a true perspective of everybody's performance when you're watching on TV. You get a decent gist of it, but watching yesterday, the overriding impression I got from yesterday's performance, and I tweeted about this afterwards, was it came across to me that there's a team that is actually finally being coached rather than the slapdash Harry Redknapp method of put 11 names together, throw them out there and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think Steve Cottrell, in the limited time that he's had, does at least appear to be trying to set down some templates that the players can work from, giving them more defined roles. And I think, you know, by and large, they're starting to respond to it, which is why I heard you guys say earlier, you could feel there's a slight upturn in things. And I fully agree with that. And I expect it to continue on Wednesday against Brentford.
That expectation is going to be quite high, isn't it, Wednesday, supporter-wise?
Yeah, but then Brentford went to Preston on Saturday and inflicted their first home defeat of the season. And, you know, Dean Smith will always want to put one over on us. You know, so we can't
Especially
go
if we
into
stole
that game
half his
blasé.
squad.
And it'd be interesting to me. I mean, we can assume that Vassell's out for some period of time. Does Steve Cottrell therefore do something similar to what he did on Sunday, in that he plays Adams through the middle and has Gallagher as one of the three in behind, or does he change the formation because he can't perm Adams and Vassell together up front? Be interesting to see what Steve does. Again, it's interesting to see what he does from a coaching point of view.
Well, he's got to make a change anyway because Vassell's out now for the foreseeable. So
That's what I mean. You know, we don't know until these scan results come back exactly how bad it's going to be. I'm worried, of course, because he's the one genuinely raw, pacey player that we have. You know, Adams isn't far behind in terms of his pace, but my word, Vassell would trouble anybody in that division with his pace. So I hope he's back sooner rather than later, because I think we'll miss him whilst he's out.
Yeah, but then that's why you get a squad in it. That's you've got to have people in backup roles.
Yeah, well, it's a chance for Gallagher to properly show what he can do. I remember one of his first games for when Southampton brought him in. I think they got him from Plymouth. He wasn't a Southampton Academy graduate. He came from Plymouth, where, as we all know, certain great players have come from in the past. And he looked a handful, and he looked bright and intelligent. So if he gets a run of games in Vassell's absence, I'll be interested to see how he develops.
Yeah. We've already had a bit of a bash on this one a little earlier. What's your take on the Clapper situation?
Well, as I'm led to believe, those who wanted the clappers from on high, very high, were gently persuaded as much as possible not to do it, because plenty of people around the club, and you and I, Mick, and everyone, we know lots of people around the club who've been with Birmingham City through the darkest times, and understand, what works from a match day marketing perspective, call it what you will, and what doesn't. But they were not for turning, and maybe, as you suggested earlier in the programme, if money was offered, which the club felt they simply had to accept on high, then the clappers were in there. So that was a really disappointing decision, as disappointing as it was that people decide to throw them. See, that I heard people talking earlier about, it's only a piece of paper, it's not exactly going to... I couldn't care less. I could not care less. It's not what is thrown, it's the desire to throw anything, whether it's a paper plane that should never have been put there in the first place, or whether it's a snooker ball that was lobbed at Gary McAllister years ago, or whether it's a bottle that somehow was lobbed at Sam Johnston in the second half, or whatever. What I do not and never will, and having 5 pints is no excuse, by the way. I do not understand the mentality of ever wanting to throw something onto a football pitch, whether it's in jest or whether it's with intention to do something a bit more sinister. I don't get it. I never will get it, and it's embarrassing.
I think it was the sheep effect, wasn't it? As soon as one did it,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Monkey see, monkey do. Could not agree more. Once one group starts doing it, everyone thinks it's the thing to do. I couldn't agree with you more on that. That it started a chain reaction, and at that point, I wouldn't want to be a steward for all the tea in China to have to try and cope with that, because it's like pushing treacle uphill.
Okay, Barnsley up next on Wednesday then. What's your thoughts? Sorry, Brentford on Wednesday, isn't it? Brentford Wednesday, Barnsley Saturday. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that one? Do you reckon we'll get a result there?
Well, I mean, as I say, it's the first time I've seen Blues live this past Sunday, and I was delighted to see how Keefton Beld has been welcomed back into the fold, and played as well as he has, and with as much determination, and more than just determination, there was a bit of quality to factor into that. So that there's cause for a little bit of optimism that we can pull away from the situation that we're in. As I say, I think we've got a manager in who now actually wants to coach the players and challenge them out there on the training pitch at West Hills and get them thinking about the roles that they have, both individually and working with one another. Yeah. Whether it turns into a victory against Brentford on Wednesday, or whether we just have to wait, a few more weeks for that sort of upward trend of results to come in, we'll have to wait and see. But as I say, Brentford going to Preston and winning on Saturday should make us all sit up and think that even though we bought half of Brentford's team, we should still be concerned that they've got something to offer.
Yeah.
I think, like you say, Ian, about the organisation of the team since Redknapp left. I don't think it's any surprise that since he's left, with Carsley and then with Cottrell now, like I mentioned earlier, we've had 3 clean sheets in a row at home now. Yeah. And I think that organisation, it's pretty obvious that we want to be harder to beat at home. We got beat by Reading pretty easily. We were 1-0 up at home to Preston and lost 3-1. That should never have happened as well. I think especially at home, you want to say that you do want to get those points on the board. And like you say, even though Brentford won on Saturday, I think it's a side that we have the ability now that we can say that we're as much of a threat as they are to us.
Yes, yeah, we shouldn't go into any games with trepidation that we're going to be outclassed by anybody in this division, with one or two possible exceptions towards the other end of the table, because as we all know, there's one or two teams in this division who look very, very strong indeed. 1 or 2 results aside, and we'll take some catching once we get into the winter and into into the early spring.
Yeah.
But look, I made absolutely no secret of my dissatisfaction with the permanent appointment of Harry Redknapp. I thought the Jolly Uncle routine was likely to work for that last 3 games of the season. You could argue that it did. And then that's when everybody should have said, thank you very much, say goodnight to the folks, Gracie, and then we move on. Unfortunately, for me, that didn't happen. And the mess that Harry Redknapp left behind is going to take, in my opinion, 2 years to clear up, to a point where we, as Blues fans, can be more content with the structure of the club in terms of its playing staff, the wages of that playing staff, and just the general structure of the place. He made a right dog's breakfast of it.
Right. Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, the Gallagher wages and everything,
Yeah, no, I
and
know.
you know, it is a lot of money that he's put out, and
Well, it's not just Gallagher. There's loads of examples, isn't there? I mean, I was told that, you know, I mean, Hotter's a terrific addition. You could look at all of those 14 players that were brought in. Was it 14? I think I'm right, aren't I?
yeah, but I think it was in the end, yeah.
Well, you could look at each.
It was nearly
player
15.
Yeah, but you could look at each one on an individual player-by-player basis, and you could make a case for saying, okay, I understand why that player's been brought in. It's either to reinforce a position where we're weak, or it's something different, or blah, 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 whatever, right? But to have them all in one go, it just smacked of panic.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, I remember on the day everyone was so excited. All these players came. I was thinking, what's he doing? What is he doing? He's panicking, and he's not. And so he was led to believe with the 25 different exclusives he gave to everybody in the night he got the sack after the Preston game. That they weren't the players that he wanted. so it was panic then, because he was at pains to point out that the players he wanted to get, he couldn't get. So he settled. Oh, thanks very much, Harry. Bless you for that. Thanks for settling. You know, he is not the only person to blame for the way things have gone, right? But I find the way that he has managed to exonerate himself of all blame, I find that just incredibly hard to understand.
Yeah.
All right, okay, got lots of reaction coming in from that one. Wow, strong words, have to invest to progress, and Redknapp has brought in more quality than we had before. However, the wages issue is a problem. That's from Pat Begley. Robert Doyle, come on then, Ian, who would you not have signed from the players he brought in?
No, as I said to you, you could make a case for in each individual instance. You could look at Roberts, and you could look at Hotter, you could look at Gallagher, Ndoye, whoever, and you could say, all right, I understand why that player is being brought in. But what I'm saying is that it was the collective panic of getting them all in at the same time on the final day of the season, and they weren't even the players, so Harry Redknapp says, were the ones that he wanted. So that was my issue. Now, the thing he also said was, this squad that I've left behind, in one of those 25 exclusives he gave, the night of the night he was dismissed, he said that whoever takes this job should be able to get this team promoted. Well, that's throwing the next guy under the bus before he's even started.
Yeah.
It just so happens it's the guy who was his assistant for the last 3 games of last season.
But it also goes against what he's saying for the 3 weeks previous, saying these guys aren't good enough, I needed all these players in, etc., etc.
And nobody picks him up on it. Nobody ever picked him up on it.
It was King Harry, wasn't it? The Harry factor. Steve Portman says, was Harry making the decisions on who to sign, or was he just the face?
Well, that's a very good question. I'd love to know whether there were other people involved. But look, Harry's been around in the game long enough he's big enough and old enough to know to make his own decisions. I can't imagine that he would have taken the contract, the permanent managerial contract that he did, without having a firm hand on the tiller.
Yeah.
Do you think he would have taken the job saying, right, you're just a it's a phase thing. There's somebody else pulling the strings behind. I don't truly believe that's the case.
He doesn't strike me as a yes man, and certainly at the age he was, he didn't need that, did he?
No, I think he's his own man, and I can't for one moment imagine that he would play second fiddle in the negotiating stakes to anybody. And the disparity in wages that we've all read and heard about bears that out.
Good call here from Ollie Osborne. They say a manager reflects on a team. The way they played yesterday showed they are a side with a lot to prove, looking to make a name for themselves. Very encouraging start for Cottrell so far. Just need to sort the away form.
Yes, because they looked timid at Millwall, didn't they?
Awful.
I mean, really timid. And again, I'm only going by what I watched on television. I know you guys were there at the stadium itself, so you saw more than I did. But what I watched was, a team that's got stuck in a rut away from home, and this is something that Steve Cottrell and Lee Carsley got to work on and try and get those confidence levels up. Shins go on chests all too quickly. We only had that little flash either side of half time, really, didn't we? That Vassell shot just before half time.
Yeah.
So other than that, it was all a bit disjointed and 3 and 4 touch football rather than 1 and 2 touch. That was another nice thing to see yesterday. There was more tempo about it. 1 and 2 touch football. It was pleasant to see.
Steve Plant is listening from Alicante in Spain in his truck. Keep right on. There you go.
Top man.
Well done, Steve Plant. Ask him why he felt the need to slag the supporters off on Twitter. If you've a problem with the fans, air it on here, not where the whole country can see. We get enough bad press.
Now, I'll take issue with this because it doesn't need me to say anything for the whole country to see what's going on.
No. It was live on Sky, for goodness sake.
Exactly. So, what's me saying anything on social media gonna do to fan the flames? Absolutely no. That's not true. I was embarrassed because tables are turned. If that had been opposition supporters from that lot down the road, throwing things on the pitch, we'd have the hypocrisy would have been staggering. We'd have been, they're animals. It would have been. That's what I'd have read on social media from people. So I just don't. It goes back to my original point. I don't care who you support. I don't know what colour scarf you wear around your neck. Why would you feel the need to throw anything at any point onto any sporting playing field for any reason? Whether you've had an orange juice and lemonade or whether you've had 6 pints. Why?
There you go.
I just despair. That's the only point I'm making. And and as you rightly said, the chain reaction started, and everyone thought it was the thing to do. Yeah. And then the stewards just can't stop it. But somebody started it, and I just don't understand why.
Well, mine stayed where it was. I wasn't even going to pick it up because of the colours of it.
Well, there's another ridiculous aspect to it all. That, as you guys mentioned in the show earlier, the colour scheme on those clapperboards
I just couldn't believe it.
Made the square root of no sense. But look, they won't do that again.
No,
they better not anyway.
That's the one thing that we can take from it, that they are not coming back, are they?
No, well, if they do, then they've learnt nothing.
Yeah.
So but I'm not having a go at Blues fans per se. I would say the same thing if it had been supporters of any club who. And I do disagree with what some of you guys said earlier. I think it did disrupt the flow of the game at times. I think it did do us a disservice on occasion. I think there was at least one point where we were getting up a good head of steam, and then we had a good 45 seconds, minute and a half of. Doesn't sound like a lot, but to players it is a lot. You can. It's amazing how quickly players can switch off. So that's one issue where I would say, no. Do you know what? I think it did disrupt things in a way that was actually detrimental to the pressure that we were putting on Villa, especially in the first half.
Yeah, brilliant first half. Kieftenbeld, do you think we're going to keep him now?
Well, I hope so. I hope his price has gone up.
Yeah.
Given what's happened. Again, I don't know the circumstances of exactly how and why that Derby move never came off, but I'm delighted that it didn't. I mean, that question and the answer to that question all depends on how enthused he is, as in Kieftenbeld, by the sort of sessions that Steve Cotterill puts on. You know, whether he feels, I mean, he's obviously been brought in from the cold, and Steve Cotterill said everybody's got a clean slate, and he's been one of the initial beneficiaries from that. If he continues to play the way he has, can you see anybody dislodging him from that central midfield? I can't.
Not a cat in hell's chance.
No.
So, in that sense, then he's got the chance to cement that place for the rest of the season, and that's probably all he wants. And that's probably the reason why he thought Derby was the best option.
Yeah.
Because he felt frozen out by the Redknapp management team. So
football,
we shouldn't be surprised if Derby come back in January. Of course we shouldn't, because Gary knows exactly what he can do. But that doesn't mean he has to go.
Absolutely. Graham Knight is listening in from New York and wants to know who the guest is. Well, our guest tonight is a guy called Ian Danter. Ian Danter from Talk Sport. Goes around the country commentating on games.
Who?
I love it. Yeah. And I think you've got Trevor Francis there with you, haven't you?
No, I'm not going down that road. Oh, bless him. Yeah. Actually, the whole who thing was something that inadvertently began when I was working at the club doing the PA announcing.
I remember the very first one. I still laugh about it now.
Was that live on Sky?
Yeah. Well, the best one I remember was when Newcastle came to play us in the League Cup and we were beating them, and they took Shearer off. And I remember pressing the microphone, switching it on to say substitution for Newcastle, and I can clearly remember all round St Andrews, people going, shh,
yes, I remember that too, yeah.
Wanting complete silence before I said, replacing number 9, Alan Shearer, and that was just glorious. And that's the one great thing about Birmingham City fans. Ever since I first started going in, 74, I think my first game was, it's the humour, the gallows humour, the quick wit. Personally, I love the Villa chants yesterday. It's so
brilliant.
Simple,
That was good.
and it's childish, but I actually I don't know. There was just something about that makes me chuckle. So bless the Blues fans. They've got a wonderful sense of humour, and long may it continue.
And do you know what? That's what I think this Clapper thing was yesterday. It was just the sense of humour boiling over. That's my personal opinion.
Well, yes, absolutely. As I say, the Clappers was a sensationally poor idea, and it's been borne out by what happened. They won't do it again. Well, if they do, then crikey.
Yeah.
But the Birmingham City's on a general level, Birmingham City fans' sense of humour is right up there.
It is up there. It's the top. I've not met another football team with a sense of humour like ours. Now, what our board will start doing in a minute, it starts lighting up in the last sort of 20 minutes with absolute. I mean, we sit here sometimes trying not to sob at some of the things people come out with, and they're brilliant, and we just love it, and it is the best. I had a guy scathing Birmingham City from Middlesbrough yesterday on Twitter, and because I'm quite sharp and quite quick-witted as well, and he came down about like vile city, horrible accent, blah 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 blah. And I says, you come from Middlesbrough, and people from Newcastle can't even understand you. So
you got to fight fire with fire, particularly on social media.
Yeah.
Ian, back on the matches. Obviously, you've done. You've seen a few championship matches this season. On what you've seen live from teams, who are probably the two that automatic promotion candidates so far that you've seen that you think are probably favourites to stay up there?
I thought, if I go back a week, I thought Norwich were interesting, actually, watching them win at Ipswich.
Yeah. Because
their manager went away from home in a local derby and played two creative midfielders in Wes Hoolahan and James Maddison in behind the striker, and I thought that was quite brave, and it came off for him because they won the game, and Maddison's clearly a very talented
got the goal
midfielder. So Norwich interests me in the way that they're going about their business. It's obvious to say Wolves at this point, because
but winter's coming, the dirty months.
Yes, But I saw them on the opening day against Middlesbrough. I thought the formation brought the best out of so many players. I think one of their smartest acquisitions is one of the least notorious, and that getting Barry Douglas in from Turkish football. I think as a sort of left wing back in that 3-4-3, I think he's been terrific for them. Cody reinvented as a centre half looks, a player reinvented. Looks terrific, and of course when you spend
it helps when
15 million on Neves,
yeah.
you expect a return on that investment.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
But there's other players like Jota, there's Bonatini, there's lots of good players in there. Cardiff are very combative, as we saw at St Andrews.
Absolutely,
and Neil Warnock sides will always work their what's-its off. In terms of other teams, well, I'm going to go and see Leeds again tomorrow night, and Leeds interest me because they really have lost their mojo in the last few weeks, aside from the result of Bristol City. And I need to see that live tomorrow night and see why that is. But they're a team that I would think should still be up there towards the end of the season.
I've got a question here from Adam Wilkes. Hi, Nick, Chris, Mr. Fun and Dance. Apologies if it's already been mentioned, and it hasn't, Adam, as I'm late to tonight's party. But does anyone have the foggiest on why Sky awarded Glenn Boring Whelan man of the match? Disgraceful.
I wouldn't have given Whelan man of the match. He didn't stand out for me. I wouldn't necessarily have given Ndoye man of the match either. And that's not to say he didn't have a good game, because he did.
So we've had an Ndoye debate.
I'd have given Kieftenbeld again. You know, like, as it was against Cardiff. I'd give it to him because there was one challenge he put in by the paddock. I think it was the first half, which was just all about commitment and timing, and the exactly what any supporter of Birmingham would want to see. Yeah. So Kieftenbeld would have got the vote for me.
Scott Strange wants to know, who do you think Blues should play up front against Brentford?
I'm trying to think who plays at the back for Brentford these days, and what whether it's a sort of similar to what you saw with Chester and Terry yesterday. Big, 6'2", 6'3", centre halves that don't have a great deal of pace that Adams could, play in behind, or whether, Jutkiewicz would be more useful as a battering ram for others to feed off. But again, I've not seen any of Jutkiewicz. That you guys have seen him live more than I have this season to know what his form is like. Yeah. But looks like Adams can play anywhere across that front four. Basically, he could play as a 10, wide left, wide right, or up front, and be effective pretty much wherever you want. Based on what you guys were saying about Potter, I would be intrigued to see what he could do as a 10 in that Ndoye position. Right. But then the protection behind him would have to be reinforced that little bit more, you sense.
Yeah.
Steve K wants to know, where do you think Blues will finish?
Mid-table obscurity.
I thought you were going to say in a stable for a minute.
Yeah. I think. I don't think we should be. Wonderful though it would be to see us getting in the top half and getting on the fringes of the playoffs like we were, a year ago. Unbelievable to think it's a year, isn't it? That we were under Gary. I think I would happily take, as I say, because it's going to take such a long time for Steve Cottrell and the team to actually sort out what's been left behind. I think we should be content with getting ourselves in a position where we finish, whether it's 11th, 12th, 10th, maybe, I don't know, and then try and get that continuity from this season into next.
Kev Kelly, does Ian think that B6 will finish top 6 come May? Just...
I have to say, for the amount of money that's been spent on that squad, I thought they were poor first half.
Do you think they're brave enough, Ian? Especially away from home.
Well, maybe not. I mean, you could never level that at John Terry not being brave, and if he is, and he'll throw himself in anywhere. But yeah. I wouldn't say I was disappointed in Villa, because that would mean I wanted them to do something.
No, of course,
I found it hard to believe that I was. By the time, well, put it this way, coming to the ground yesterday, I was a bit concerned. I was a bit nervous. I thought, knowing what Villa had at their disposal to play against us. I thought if they got a decent start, they could really worry us. But by half time, I was thinking, well, we should be ahead here.
Yeah.
And as I said to you right at the start of the interview, it was only when Yedinak came on and the young lad Keenan Davies, who does look a bright spark, when he came on, that they looked like they had something to offer. Will Villa make top 6? Yeah, quite possibly. They should do with the amount of investment that's been made in that squad. If they don't make it, you can imagine the quadratic equations that Dr. Tony G is going to start tweeting out. It's going to be.
I love his
going to be.
tweets.
I think it'll end up with the manager going if they don't.
Did you see that mathematical conundrum he come up with a few weeks ago?
Well, this is what I mean. It's all maths.
I wrote back to him. I said, Tony, they've all got 6 fingers in Aston. Nobody can understand what you're on about, mate.
Oh, now. But yeah, they should finish top 6 with what they've got. As you suggest, are they brave enough? It's having a goal scorer in the vein of Chris Wood, who's obviously now gone to Burnley, who was scoring lots of goals at Leeds, or whether it's teams like Bristol City, who seem to have recovered very nicely from losing Tammy Abraham,
scoring goals. Yeah,
I mean, he scored 26 from last season, and I think he's a terrific kid. But there's players like Bobby Reid and others who are pitching in at Bristol City with goals. If Villa can get goals from areas of the pitch like Snodgrass and other areas, then maybe. But I don't want to talk too much about it.
Quite a few people asking, what do you think of the new owners?
Well, I don't know them personally, and I know there was this news story that Daniel Ivory was running earlier about more investment in the club, and another shareholder coming on board, about whom very little is known. And well, that's no different to what we've all been dealing with since Carson Young came in. A lot of people whose backgrounds and whose motives are entirely unclear to all of us. And when I was last with you guys, we had this whole argument where Panu's Pets was being floated around, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Which I very much took exception to, because at the time, people like Colin Tatham were in the firing line as though they were somehow kowtowing or working on the instructions of Peter Panu, which was just about as insulting as it's possible to get for a guy like Colin, who was only wants the best for the club and wasn't working on anybody's behalf other than himself and the Birmingham Mail. But nothing's really changed, has it? There's no real face of the club.
No.
Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that's a good thing.
I was just going to say, sometimes, do you really... I mean, like, we had the face of Carson Young, didn't we? And that's etched and burnt into all of our memories now, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I mean, when I was growing up, when I started watching football, Keith Coombs was our chairman.
Yeah.
Local businessman, wasn't he? I forget what trade he was in, whether it was... I can't even remember. I wouldn't want to take a guess, but, it was... fairly he never particularly was one to hog the limelight or anything like that. And it was only the Golden Sullivan era. Well, mind you, the Kumars. I'm forgetting the Kumars, aren't I? Good grief!
I remember it well, my dear boy. I remember it well.
Well, the Mark I fire and all the nonsense that surrounded that, and then Golden Sullivan came in. So we've had our fair share of people who are desperate to be front and centre media-wise when they own the club. So maybe in this instance that we have people who have no desire to be front and centre, it might work in our favour. As long as we all know that Paul Swen hasn't bought this club for the long term. It's the idea of turning it around, making it a more viable asset to then sell, so he makes a little bit of money on it. And you always have to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, very much so.
You may want people out, but it's what comes in. As a we wanted Golden Sullivan gone, and my word, look what we got in return. We got the best day of my life as a football supporter, but we also got an owner in prison. Lovely.
Yeah, but we didn't know that at that time, though, did we? It was all good for us at that time. That was.
It was. It was.
And it's such a shame that the likes of the Football League or the Premier League or whoever they were, and the FA and the ruling and governing bodies didn't investigate properly as to how come a barber managed
And
to
they
buy a
still
football
don't.
club.
And they still don't. I mean.
Oh, talking about barbers, I've got to say, very congratulations to my son Adam. He's opened his first barber shop in Derby today. I've been to have my hair cut this morning.
Oh, very good.
Top man. Of course, he was with me on Sunday. Oh, dear me. That was a bit awful. Steve Smith, Dance, do you want a clapper?
Go for 50
yeah,
quid on eBay.
that'll be. Yeah, I'll keep it in my collection. I'm sure. Are they not only available on eBay?
Yeah, probably. Apparently, one lad was offered a whole box of them on the way to the Tilton yesterday as well.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Do you know what? I'll take a rain check on that. Thank you very much.
Alan Osborne, the show is about blues, not the viol. Come on, lads. Well, it's about the blues because we played them the weekend as well. So we do have to twice a year or twice a season talk about it. Right.
Have you heard that Lee Clark's been given the old?
Yes, we had heard that earlier. Yeah, we had heard that earlier. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he'd had I think they were second from bottom or something.
Yeah, they've had a terrible run this year, haven't they? Yeah.
Ollie Osborne wants to know who's your favourite blues manager of all time, since you can remember.
Favourite blues manager.
I'm hoping it's going to be Steve Cottrell.
Well, if we leave, it's certainly not Harry. If we leave Steve out because he's only just got the job, I don't. Well, I mean, Freddie Goodwin was the manager when I first started watching. Although I had no appreciation of the job he was doing, when you're only 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think by the time I was at an age where I actually understood what was going on, Jim Smith was the manager.
Definitely.
And Jim Smith had a terrific eye for a player, and he bought. The irony was, and I think there was a book that made this point at the time as well, that the players that we bought with the Francis money, ironically, would have won a trophy if Francis was with them. When you think of Todd, Gemmell, Ainscough, players like that, Worthington, if they'd been with Francis rather than replacing Francis, I'm not sure, and I can't think back to the time whether the board at that time were that strapped for cash that they had to sell Trevor and get top dollar for him, because otherwise, I don't know what else. But there's the irony for me that Jim Smith did put a terrific team together with the money he got for Trevor. But if Trevor had worked with that team, goodness knows what we might have achieved. But yeah, Jim Smith probably, I think.
Steve Farrell says, are you happy with the appointment of Steve Cottrell?
I'm happy, yes, in the sense that as I mentioned earlier in the show, it's clear that he's a coach, and it's clear that he's giving players instructions that they're starting to understand, and they're starting to work together both as individuals. And I thought Hotter and Colin worked really well together down the right yesterday. I don't know what you boys think. I thought that was a decent little relationship. By the way, I've not seen a player as left-footed since Dealey had Ebola watching Hotter yesterday. I thought Dealey just had a right foot to stand on. But Hotter, he should have at least. I think he only went on the outside of Alan Hutton once. I think he should have tried it more than once. I think he got easily put off by the fact that the one time he tried it, it didn't come off. I'd have liked to have seen him do that a little bit more.
And would you prefer Sullivan Gold Brady scenario at the club or what we've got now? I think we are where we are at the moment, aren't we? So that's as
yeah. Well, Sullivan, they came in at a time when the club was in a dreadful state, wasn't it? And I lived on St Andrews Road for a time when they were in the 90s, when they were rebuilding, the stadium. It was gratifying to see that change which needed to come in certain areas of the ground. It was great to see it go up day by day and see the transformation of the club, and that's something I'll always be grateful to David Gold and David Sullivan for. Whatever mistakes they subsequently made, I'm always grateful to them for that.
Right, okay. Where's that time gone to? Good luck on your travels up north. Up north, lad. Up north. I could eat a barm cake between two horse wagons. And could you do us a favour, Ian?
Come on.
In your best Trevor Francis voice, we want to clip this and use it week by week. Could you say you're listening to Trevor Francis on the Tilton Talk Show?
You're listening to Trevor Francis on the Tilton Talk Show.
Perfect. Brilliant. Ian, thanks ever so much for calling in, mate. I know you wanted to be in, and we did too. And next time, mate. Next time.
I will come and see you properly, chaps. One of these days. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you in person tonight.
We've got all professional now. We've got equipment and cameras and all sorts.
Well, I noticed the camera. Yeah. You know, with your little pictures behind it. It's quite a transformation. I'm impressed.
Green screens and everything, mate.
I know. Listen. George Lucas got nothing on you, boys. I'm telling you.
Well, we're hitting about 30 odd thousand people a week.
Well, that's great. Look, I mean, it's wonderful that you know that there's an outlet for blues fans and a sensible forum like you guys have put together for a show like you do with Tilton Talk. So you know, and it's great that it reaches out to that many blues fans around the world, not just people that live in this country. So you know, keep doing what you do, boys. Keep doing what you do.
Well, we do it for the people that listen to it. That's it. You know, it's a love of life, of course, because it's Birmingham City. You know what I mean? But you know,
well, it's the club we love, and there's nothing worse than hearing stuff on whether it's on TV, on radio about your club that you know is not researched and not accurate and not done with love. And the one thing that's clear with what you guys do is that care has been taken in what you try and do. You know, and the care that you take with the show that you put together corresponds to the care and the love that you have for the club. So, you know, what more can I say?
Well, join in with that one. We'll join in with that one. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Talk Sport presenter, Mr. Ian Danter. Ian, thanks ever so much.
Cheers, Ian.
Cheers, boys.
Take it easy, boy. Keep it on, mate, and have a good week.
Cheers, thank you. There we go.
There you go, Ian Danter. There you go from Talk Sports. Nice guy.
Very nice guy.
Friend of the show.
Yeah. Made some good points.
Yeah. Made some very good points.
Yeah.
Oh well, never mind, mate. Never mind.
Yeah.
You took one for the team there, I think, didn't you, Ken?
I'm not going to argue,
No.
but yeah.
No.
When he comes in, we'll have a further Ndoye update.
Okay, Kev Kelly says, Chris Pugh, please can I have a prediction for Wednesday? You're allowed to join in on this one. We've only got a few minutes left now. 10 minutes.
Okay, Wednesday. So I think that I think we'll keep another clean sheet. I think it'll be a fourth clean sheet in a row, and we will win 2-0.
2-0. And then go for Saturday as well, then.
Okay, so Saturday with Barnsley away. Away form is horrendous. However, the one thing that Ian mentioned, the one word he said, away from home, which struck me massively, especially at Millwall. If we concede the first goal, then we don't know what to do. So I'm going to say that we'll get the first goal, and we'll nick a point there.
So
I'll
4
say
points for
1-1 there. Yeah.
4 points for the next 2 games. Okay. You keep your predictions coming in, people. I'm just going to read you something there before we
it's quite
depart
important,
on this
one.
Monday night.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's from a lovely guy called Andrew Cave, and it's a message he put out on his personal Facebook page earlier. Is it possible to give a shout out to 2 of my mates and 2 total strangers who helped me when I collapsed due to loss of blood pressure in Big John's Saturday evening, and I got rushed into City Hospital? Also, the ambulance crew and the staff who looked after me thought I was a goner, but ended up getting discharged 10 a.m. where I got a taxi to the match. Thanks.
Incredible.
So that is incredible.
There's a bit on the bottom as well.
Yeah, I sent him a personal message earlier, just
Fantastic.
wishing him all the very best and this, that, the other. But Andrew Cave, it's been good to have you back here with us on the Tilton Talk Show on a Monday night.
I'm glad you were.
we
glad
should
you
have
could
played
get
that for him.
discharged before the thing.
Can we play that at the end? I've been kicking.
Yeah. Well done. Well done.
You're right. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these then. Neil Adams, I like that one. 4-0 to Blues. I'll take that definitely. Wayne Day 3-0 to Blues. It's also my son's birthday on Wednesday, so I should be bringing him with me as a gift, shall we say? Last week's competition, Chris. I know we're running out of time. We've had a lot.
Okay, we can. So yeah.
A lot doing today. So
So you're going to pick one out of here.
This is for
This is for a hoodie.
a hoodie.
A hoodie or a shirt or a hat or whatever you want.
So, the winner is Steve Portman.
Steve Portman, you are a
Steve
winner.
Portman.
You are a winner.
Steve Portman, please get in touch with Chris Brown or the show at Tilton Talk on Twitter. Get us your address and we'll get that off to you.
A lot of positivity looking through the predictions.
Yeah.
4 to 6 points is what most people are thinking. 2-0. Most of them are winning on Wednesday and getting a point on Saturday.
Yep.
I think you'd be happy with that.
Take anything to get out of that drop zone at the minute, mate.
Well, the away game, especially if we pick up a point away at Barnsley, I think just to stop that rot of poor performances away from home will be a massive boost. Yeah.
Well done to Birmingham City under 18s beating Leeds today 3-1. And I don't know whether you do or you don't know this, but the Blues ladies will be playing at St Andrews on Sunday.
They will.
You do. We had a narrow defeat.
Yeah, very, very, very frustrating. Obviously, I was at the Blues Villa, so I didn't go to it and didn't see it live. But looking at the highlights, we were 1-0 up early on at Man City through Lucy Quinn. Held on with about 20 minutes to go, and a very, very dubious penalty given against us, which was converted to make it 1-1. Then we were down to 10 players. Our captain got sent off, and unfortunately we went all the way through to injury time, 1-1, looking like we were going to get a point, and conceded in injury time, and then conceded another penalty late on to lose 3-1. But yeah, we got Everton away on Thursday night, which hopefully I'll be going to, and then so Sunday is Doncaster at home. 2:00 kickoff.
Always a big game.
At St Andrews.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to come down to that, at St Andrews, hopefully get a decent crowd for that one.
If I'm out, I will be.
Yeah.
Right, Alex Martin, going back to the Brentford game. Brentford 2-0. Big ask to put in another big performance 3 days after a derby.
Yes, yeah.
Professional athletes.
But do you know what? I think I wouldn't be surprised to see a few changes, because he made that mistake against Millwall, didn't he? We beat Cardiff, and then he went same team against Millwall, and we didn't put in the same performance. So I think we'll see a different.
Here comes the comedy: 3-0 Blues Wednesday and Doy hat trick.
Yeah, well,
Paul Hipkiss.
You know what? If that's the case, I'll come in next week and apologise.
Will you eat your hat if you
thoroughly apologise to
if
the great man?
Show naked.
Kev Kelly and Doy just scoring both games. Great show again. Team, keep right on from Bleepy. Thanks, Bleepy. Anyone else enjoy Joe Gallagher's continued enthusiasm for Blues recently? Joe Gallagher's lovely man. He's been on the show.
Doing
Absolutely cracking guy.
Helping out with the Blues Cruise thing, the loyalty, wasn't he? Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Steve Smith, when are you doing the live show in the Happy Abode, Mr. Brown?
It may be December the 3rd.
If not December the 3rd.
If not December the 3rd, it's going to be in January, but
There you
it
go.
is going to happen.
Because our people are talking to their people.
Today they were talking.
They were talking today.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Always talking.
Should be fun.
It should be fun. Wilf Clark, good show, thanks. Good show, lads. Thanks, Wilf. Do appreciate that. I might go Sunday from Tony Grogan. It'd be great to get a big crowd down there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be excellent. Yeah, you know,
they'll only be charging what?
Less than a tenner. Yeah, to get in. You know, it'd be nice for the girls to play in front of a good crowd at St Andrews. The one thing I would say, that they've got, the way they're playing this season is a lot better than what we have done previous seasons. So if you've seen them over the last year and a bit,
Tony Grogan
we're
says
better
fiver.
now. Fiver, there you go.
There you go.
But so we're playing some really good football, and there's some good footballers on the pitch at the moment now for Blues ladies.
Certainly is. Right, okay, we've got something here. Mr. Fun should come in an Endoy shirt next Monday if he gets that hat trick.
Oh, crikey, yeah.
Oh,
it's not going to happen, is it? So,
okay, I'll tell you what. If he scores hat-trick Wednesday night, I'll go out and buy a blue shirt with Endoy on the back.
there you go.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'll do it naked.
No, I'll separate.
Remember the bungee jump you did?
I'll separate with my cash. Yeah, well, that was forced upon me, so there was no choice in that.
I'm going to be sending tweets to Undoy in a bit, mate. Don't you worry. He might not be able to understand English, but I think he'll get the gist of it. Bleepy says, don't think he's got 3 goals in him.
No.
And
in his career,
he would like to see Shea up front regularly, even if it means Vassal on the bench. Well, Vassal's going to be out for a while anyway.
Yeah,
so
there's
going to be some formation change.
I think you've got to make the assumption that Vassell's going to be out for a while. So it depends whether you go 1 or 2 up front. I quite like Adams out wide though.
Yeah.
He's got that pace and he's got that trickery.
Thank you, Joshua Clifton, for that question. Tony Grogan, there you go. That's a £5. Are you bringing your box of clappers on Sunday? From Robert Doyle.
No, staying away.
Oh dear. Clappers for Sunday? Question mark from Dennis Haley. Lad is one of those quality players, Mr. Fun Faves.
Yeah. She is a different class, Haley Lad.
Yeah.
Absolute different class. 26, I think, Haley Lad, yeah. So we just signed her in the summer from Bristol, but she's come in and made such an impact. She really is a top player.
Mm-hmm. Steve Portman says, was last week's prize a box of clappers? Lucy Williams has just shared. Thank you, Lucy. You're in with a chance of winning next week's prize. Full Blues kit if Undoy scores 3. They want you in shorts and socks as well.
Full kit, boots, and boots as well.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll do it?
Yeah, I'll do it. Bring on the Endoy hat-trick.
Yes. Yes. It's contractual.
If Chick Endoy scores a hat-trick on Wednesday night, I will come in a full Blues kit with boots with Endoy on the back.
And then auction it off. Steve Smith then wants you to auction it off. Not live on show,
no,
please.
No,
we're not doing the calendar next week. Don't worry. Google Translate will help you out, Nick. Oh, thank you, Steve Cow, for that. Yeah, brilliant. Nice one, bud. Nice one. More chance of seeing clappers down there again than an Undoy hat trick. Any gold would do. Hotter out wide, left Adams in the middle.
Possibility, yeah.
2 up front, surely. And an I love Undoy hat.
I don't know where I'm getting one of them from, but
we'll just write it on.
Okay.
Yeah, just write it on.
I'll wear it.
All right. Josh says, really thought this could be Shea's breakthrough season if he was to be played up front. Wasted on the wing for me. Looked good against Cardiff, but quiet against Millwall and Villa. I wouldn't say he was quiet.
I don't think he was quiet on Sunday. And he was, he got his goal against Cardiff from coming off the wing. I think he's right. In an ideal world,
sorry, Undoy hat trick and we lose 4-3.
Yeah, do you know what? How typical would that be? We've got to talk about a defeat, and there's me talking about a defeat in an Undoy full kit. What are the chances of that?
You're on a safe bet.
Yeah, well, it's been another interesting one, hasn't it, mate?
It has.
At least we're not crying in our soup over the weekend's result. And I did say to one policeman who was holding his truncheon in one hand and his helmet in the other on the way out, I said, I bet you were praying for a 0-0, weren't you? And he just looked and he nodded. This has been the Tilton Talk Show with myself, Mrs. Brown, Mr. Fun, and of course Ian Danter joining us on the show tonight. Thank you very much. This is what Monday nights are all about. This is why we do it. Take care. Have a great week. 2 games coming up before we see each other again next Monday. Let's hope we're still smiling. Keep right on to the end of the road.
Good night.
Down at St. Andrews.